start again. Are we good there? See that? It's a little small because it's that kind of database. But if I look at something like this, how many script-driven elements might you see just on this one? Actually, not too many on this little piece here.
The potential is for tons.
Very good point. But again, go ahead.
Mostly in the portal.
Mostly in the portal right now because I have this
Yeah.
interesting little disclosure
Right
triangle.
there where the arrow is.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think this disclosure triangle might do?
That's going to go to the detail.
Pop up some here some detail.
Yeah.
All right. So that was definitely a scripted, or at least a button action. Oh, by the way, does anyone still have a button and directly attach a script step to it that's not perform script?
Not often.
Not on. Thank you. You knew where I said it with that. Yeah. So common best practice, if you haven't through experience already discovered this, this is a great use of experience, right? You learn all the things that you shouldn't do, or you wish you hadn't done. So every time you do a button, every button should point to perform script, even if it's a one script step script, because you never know when you might want to change that. So if it's go to layout or preview or what's another good example?
Bring that up to your attention.
186 standard functions. Functions.
I counted it.
Script steps, cool.
100.
Oh, 138 script steps.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you. And that's in the PDF that's attached in the folder right now?
That's in the presentation called Elements of FileMaker.
Okay. Quick aside here is John also has in the scripting folder that was on the Basecamp site has an element of conventions, standard conventions that talk to this. So we have a detail screen that jumped up here. We have something else that looks, I'm not recommending this as necessarily good user interface, we're using this as an example. If I do one more to add a movie fan in this case, so if you didn't catch the piece before here, oh, look at this, I can't click on this window. Is that window management? Yep. It's modal window management, which may or may not be good, depending on what side of the fence you're on. But here I started a task, which is add a fan to this movie. And it won't let me proceed unless I cancel or do one. So let me pick one here, Eugene. Plugged it in there. There's my piece there, closed window. Done. So probably 2 scripts, I think. Not much in that. But if you look under the hood, we have something like this. Probably should start at the very base level, script management. With FileMaker 10, we got folders, right? So now we have the ability to have a nice organization. If I want to close things down, do that. Just work on the piece that I'm working on, which is maybe add the fan, right? Those types of things. Is everyone doing that?
Yeah.
What's the most number of scripts in a solution you've written? 2,000 scripts?
Hundreds, I don't know.
Yeah.
You should have waited. I could have done an auction or something here.
Yeah.
Okay, is anybody ready to be 2,000? That's quite a few scripts. How did you keep all those straight? Was this before 10?
6-digit name, alphanumeric naming convention.
I see. But it was before 10, right?
Oh yeah.
And now if you built that same solution in 10, you wouldn't need 2,000 scripts, would you?
20 master folders and a series of subfolders.
But how many scripts? I mean, if we're talking about modularity here as a design target. The question is...
I might have more scripts, but I'd have smaller ones that call each other.
Interesting. So you think you still have 2,000 scripts?
I have to consider that.
Yeah. I would. My sin is probably about half that. And I would suggest that with a little creative diligence. You know, the target here, the objective is to minimize the amount of work we have to do. And if we can modularize it, make it reusable, that's the idea. How many folks are programmers? Have like C or any background? Only about 4 or 5? Okay.
That's part of life anyway.
What's that, Bruce?
In a prior life, anyway.
Okay. And how much of it do you retain?
Unless I was actually programming like 10 years before I started FileMaker. So.
Okay. But the philosophy and concept are probably built in.
Oh, the base stuff, absolutely. Yeah. And that was one of the things I actually had a struggle when I first started doing scripting on that. And some of the concepts were, you know, Fortran and C didn't translate to scripting initially. It did and it didn't.
Well, so, well, I'd like to ask more about that, but my question is, or my point is, about things like branching logic. That's not necessarily just a programming, something that comes out of coding. It's something that we have that we work through in real life every day, right? Mm-hmm. If I want to eat today, I either have to have something in the fridge, go to the restaurant, or have somebody bring it home. You know, so if-then, you can build a whole if-then branching off of that. How many folks consider yourselves logical? So let me make it a little more definitive. I'll make it measurable here, okay? Howard Benson, I think, may not be the right name. There's someone who about 15 years ago came up with the idea of 7 kinds of smart, 7 types of intelligence, right? There's kinesthetic, the ability to move your body. There's musical. There is, well, one of those is logic, mathematical logical. So the fact that you may not have that as a base core strength doesn't mean that you're not intelligent in these other areas. It just means that to your skill set. So some people have it, some people don't. And incidentally, on that one, they just that was about 15 years ago. I think about 3 years ago, they updated this. There's 2 more intelligences as well. Interpersonal, the ability to not only know your insight, you know, how you work, but be able to work with others. The idea of emotional intelligence. You've heard of that one? That one is actually now identified as, you know, there's some folks who are good at that, some who aren't. And environmental is actually, and not as in save the earth, but more in a being aware of your environment. And when you see a tree, actually noticing the differences between that tree and the other tree. That's actually a core intelligence. Very interesting, I thought. So, a little aside there. Logic. So, the great thing about FileMaker is you can adapt it to your style. Make it work for you, make it not. Here's a structure on this piece. If I go into, let's take a look at the nav structure here. And, John, you're going to talk about standards, conventions on this. I'm not going to go into those deeply. But here's a piece. I'll just, let me get the shoulds out of the way, because I don't like doing the should stuff. But here's some things that I found that, boy, if I had learned this 10 years ago, I would have been a lot happier camper. This one's so basic. It's like, I need to tell myself up front, what does this script do? So at the front of every script, I say, what's the purpose? What's the dependencies? When did I write this? When did I change it? Those types of things, just because I don't have as good a memory as I used to. And I use this more than I thought I would. Is everyone doing this part? Am I preaching? Okay. I'm not. Oh, this is good. Okay, so this isn't necessarily a built-in automatic habit. That's why, let me get out for a second. Let's go back here. That's why I'll just, ooh, don't do that. I'll close the window. That's why we have this one right here, a script starter template, because it has everything built in. You just change it. So every script should have that, so you don't have to, you know, type all that stuff.
Script to start a script.
Go back to the nav piece here. What's that?
A script to start a script.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, in 10 there is one now. Who remembers when the script was actually, you do a new script and it came pre-populated with 4 steps, right? And how many people deleted all the steps so they could so they took it out of the product. But then we learned, but we really do need a starter solution, a starter script. Now, what FileMaker needs to do, oh, Andy, hi. What FileMaker needs to do, and Andy's going to say, we have a mechanism for submitting feedback.